Hello students, welcome to the lecture. Today we are going to start with a new subject, that is costing, and I am your mentor. I'm going to teach you the costing subject. Okay, I am a company secretary. I'm a qualified company secretary. My name is Priyanka Srivastava. I'm a qualified company secretary. Okay, and I have also done MBA in the field of finance and HR. Along with this, I have done BBA in the field of finance. Also, I am working in a CA firm. So, I have an immense practical, theoretical, every kind of knowledge with respect to costing. And this is just a brief that I have given to you. I have at least 2 years of teaching experience, so I know how to deal with students. And this basically, I'm going to be there for you, not only in the class, but also after that. You can ask your query at any time with the email ID that I'm going to provide you. cspriyankasrivastava123@gmail.com. So if you have any query, you can just mail me at this ID. Okay, I'm available to you there. I'm going to respond you within 24 hours of your query. Okay, and this lectures which is provided to you, you can watch it at n number of times. So if you have any doubt, you can first go through the lecture again, and then also after completing the lecture, even if after that also, if any query remains unanswered, then I am available for you to answer all your queries. Okay, and this subject costing that I am going to teach you, it will be in a way that will be covering both theory plus we will covering the practical sums. So in class, I'm going to give you some sums. Okay, we're going to solve some sums in the class itself. Then I'm going to give you some homeworks. For that, the solution will be provided to you. Okay, but first and foremost thing is you have to solve it on your own, because these sums will be similar to the sums that we had discussed in the class. Okay, and why I'm covering theory also, because it will be around 30 to 40% of your paper. So it's very important to study theory as well, to understand theory as well, because in many classes I have seen that they only focus on practical part, which is around 60% of the paper, but rest 30 to 40%, what about that? So I'll be focusing on both, because with theory you get your concepts, and with your practical thing you'll be able to solve your sums and do it in your practical life as well. So we need a combination of these two. Okay, so we have without wasting any further time, let's start with the chapter 1 we have, that is Introduction to Cost and Management Accounting. So, to begin with, we need to start with certain definitions. Okay, we'll be starting with certain definition. So, the first definition, first I'm going to show you the theory, then I'm going to explain you the very same, then I'll again going to read the theory, so that it goes into your head like that you just need a simple revision. Okay, the thumb rule of my class, don't forget to know the thumb rule of my class is revise the lecture the notes you have made in that way, okay, within 24 hours of watching the same. Okay. This is the thumb rule of my class. And second thumb rule is no mobile phones, no distractions while you are watching the lectures. And the next thumb rule is to keep pen plus notebook plus when we are discussing the practical questions, I need calculators to be with you. Okay. So I need these three things that you should always have while watching the lectures, and you should make your own notes. Okay. So the things that I'm showing in your class, you can note that down. Okay. You should note that down. Okay. And revise them after watching the lectures. Okay. Now, let me start with the definitions. First definition is, one second. Cost. Cost means the amount of actual expenditure which is actual or notional. Notional means estimated, okay, which is incurred on or attributable to a specified article, product or activity. So what does the cost means? Basically, if for example, I am a manufacturer of a pen, okay, so what will be the cost of producing or manufacturing one pen is known as cost. To ascertain that how much the production of one pen will cost to me, so that will include cost of ink plus cost of refill plus cost of the body. So all these costs will be equal to cost of pen. Okay. Now, what is the cost of per pen is also in question. So this cost means to find out the cost which is incurred or which is spent for producing a particular activity, for doing a particular activity, or producing a particular good, or providing a particular service. So suppose I'm providing you the teaching facility. So what this basically the instruments that through which I'm serving you will cost, what this pen, what is the cost of this pen, okay, what is the cost of everything, the notes and everything that I'm providing to you, and that will be attributable to a particular student, because with all these devices I'm teaching to n number of students and n number of subjects. But how my cost can be attributable to a particular student is basically what we are trying to find out in the costing thing. Okay. Now next is the costing. Next word we have is costing. Costing means the process of ascertaining the cost is known as costing. That is how we're going to find out the cost which is basically are incurred to a specific product. So the process of finding out that cost is called as costing. Now what is cost accounting? It is the process of accounting for cost. So basically the manufacturing units need to do the accounting for the cost which is incurred for that producing that particular product, and also it includes the measures that you have taken to control the cost. So it includes two things. First, it begins with incurrence of cost, that where you are actually spending the cost, okay, where the cost is actually being taken place, and how you can reduce that cost, how can you put a control over that cost. Okay, so basically if I have to suppose for this, cost of pen becomes 10 rupees. Okay, and after finding this cost, I will be ascertaining my selling price. So suppose my selling price is 12 rupees. So my profit is 2 rupees. Now to increase this profit, the one of the criteria that I can have is basically to reduce this cost. So this is where the cost control helps. So cost control will reduce the cost, so by which it will increase the profit. Okay. So this is what the cost accounting does for us. Okay, it is the process for doing the accounting for cost, which begins with incurrence of cost, ends with control of the cost. And the cost accountancy is basically applying the costing and cost accounting principles. Okay, this is normal accounting principles that we have. And similar to that, we have some cost accounting principles. So the applying of those principles and some methods and techniques to practice the cost control and to ascertain the profitability, and to use all these techniques for managerial decision making. So if we are able to reduce the cost, or we are going to be able to control the cost, we can be it will be very helpful for us to increase the profitability. So obviously it will help us in taking the managerial decision. Okay, and management accounting, we have another thing called as management accounting. So basically it is the application of principles of accounting and financial management to create, protect, preserve and increase the value of shareholder for profit enterprise and for not profit enterprise in the public and in the private sector. So what does this mean? It basically, it takes the organization as whole, okay, and it basically gives the gives you the techniques or the principles of doing the accounting and financial management thing for both type of organization, that is an organization and enterprise whose object is profit oriented, and the organization or the enterprises whose profit main objective is not for profit. Okay, and it can be applied on private sector also and public sector also. Okay, the next thing is cost management. Now cost management is basically an application of management accounting concepts, okay, method of collections, analysis and presentation of data to provide the information needed to plan, monitor and cost control. What does it mean? That we have studied that management accounting, that is basically where we are applying the principles of accounting and financial management to increase the value of shareholder or stakeholders, okay, in of the organizations with an object of profit oriented or not for profit oriented, either in public sector or in private sector or both. Okay, next is cost management. So it is basically application of those management accounting concepts which we have studied here. Okay, and also we are applying the method of collecting, analysis and presentation of data to provide the information needed to plan, monitor and control the cost. So basically it will going to help you, the management accounting concepts here will going to apply to the costing thing, by which it will be going to help us in getting the information that we need to plan for costing, for ascertaining the cost, for monitoring the cost and for controlling the cost. Okay, and now this is a cost unit, that this is about that I was saying when I was defining the cost. So the cost unit is the unit of product or service in relation to which the cost may be ascertained or expressed. So basically what I was saying, that I am spending a lot of thing on online teaching, for example. So all these things, which is, if I put it as a total cost, then that will be the total cost. But what cost it will be occurred if I calculate for a particular student, that will be called as my cost per unit. Okay, so if suppose I am manufacturing this pen, so obviously I'll be manufacturing at least hundreds of pen in one day, and the cost of machinery, cost or the rent include the lease, factory lease, the labor employed, and all these things will basically collectively contribute to the manufacturing of the total products that I have. Okay, the total turnover that I have. But what about a single pen? So how I will calculate the costing of this single pen. So that is what you can say is cost per unit of a product or of a service or time in relation to which cost may be ascertained or expressed. So cost units are usually the units of physical measurement, like numbers. So suppose I'm a producer of 10 petrol. So how much per liter petrol will cost? So that is the physical measurement, okay? Or weight or area. Or suppose I am a producer of rice. So per kg of rice, how much it will be cost to me? So that is what the cost unit means, okay? Area, volume, length, time, value. So in these way, these cost units can be measured, okay? So there are certain examples that we're going to see right now with respect to cost unit. Suppose in automobile industry, the cost unit basis is number. So suppose automobile, that is a producer of car. So per car, what is my costing? Now, cement, if I'm a producer of a cement, manufacturer of a cement, then what is my per bag cost or per ton cost, okay? Next, we have chemicals. So if I'm a producer of certain chemical, then it will be measured, or the cost per unit will be measured in terms of per liter, per gallon, per kg, per ton, like that. Okay, and if I'm a power supplier or electricity supplier, then per kilowatt hour, that is in this term, the cost per unit will be measured. And if I'm giving any professional services, then it will be like chargeable per hourly, or you might have seen some teaches on a per hour basis, okay? Then we have, if you are giving an education, then obviously per student. For me, it is per student, okay? Now next is cost object. Now cost object is basically the thing or the product for which you are measuring or ascertaining the cost. So it is anything for which a separate measurement of cost is desired. So suppose I'm producing this pen, plus I'm producing some refills also, which I supply to some other pen manufacturers. So I need to measure the cost for this pen also and for refill also separately. Okay, so some examples of the cost objects will include a product or a service, a project, a customer, a brand category, or an activity, a department or program, etc. Now cost object like product, the example will be two-wheeler, okay? Like suppose if a company has a two-wheeler and four-wheeler, all kind of manufacturing activity, so two-wheeler costing will be done differently, four-wheeler costing will be done differently. And services, suppose an airline flight from Delhi to Mumbai. So an airline obviously will be running on various tracks. So to run on a particular track can be basically considered as a particular cost object for which you're finding out the cost. Okay, and the project, some metro railway line constructed for Delhi government. Now we will be classifying cost into different types. So I'll be making certain charts for you. Okay. So basically, you can note this down along with me. classification of cost. So cost can be classified in 6 ways. By element or nature, by functions, by variability or behavior, by controllability, by normality, by cost of managerial decision making. So basically the clause can be classified into these types, okay, by element, by functions, by variability or behavior, or by controllability, by normality, by cost of managerial decision making. We're going to understand it one by one, okay. So you can pause the video right here and note this down, okay. Now I'm moving forward to the first type that we have is on the basis of elements. So on the basis of elements, it is divided into 3 parts. Material cost, labor cost, other expenses. Material costs are further divided into 2 parts. Direct material, indirect material, cost, okay. Then labor cost again divided into 2 parts. Direct labor cost and indirect labor cost, okay. Other expenses, again two types, direct expenses and indirect expenses. Okay, so take indirect material, indirect cost and indirect expenses. So all these indirect things are actually called as overheads. Okay, now we have three kinds of overhead. So the overheads related to material are called as production overheads. Okay, then we have administrative overheads. Then we have selling and distribution overheads. Okay, we're going to understand it one by one. Right now, just note this chart. Then we're going to understand each of them one by one. Okay, so pause this video, note it down, and then again play this video. I'm moving forward and start explaining. I'm going to start explaining all these elements. Okay. Now, let me start with first the direct material. We're going to understand first direct material, direct labor and direct expenses. So the materials, first for direct materials, which are present in the finished object, finished product. So it's called as direct material. So the example that we have taken was the manufacturing of pen. So the direct material for pen are basically the ink, the body, the refill, the nib that we have. So these are, you can say, the material which is directly related to the product. So these are known as direct material, which are present in the finished product and which can be easily identified in the product. That are called as the direct materials. For example, if I'm cloth manufacturer, so this cloth is obviously the direct material, okay, and the material purchased for a specific job. So suppose I'm a painter, so the colors for me, the paint board, the colors, the brushes, so these are the direct materials that I will be needing to basically draw a particular thing, to paint a particular scenery. Okay. Next is direct labor. So the labor which can be economically identified or attributable wholly to a cost object is called as direct labor. So basically the employees or the laborers, the word labor is used because these are the blue collar workers generally. So they are generally those kind of workers who are working in the manufacturing plant, who are directly related to the manufacturing of the particular product, who are handling the machines, who are doing the manufacturing work in the factories. So these are known as direct laborers who are directly associated in the manufacturing of a particular product. Okay, so we all know that every company, every big factory has a various departments. So the people who are associated with the production department are generally known as direct labor, but not the supervisors or administrator. The people who are on the floor, who are doing the manufacturing thing exactly, who are involved in doing that manufacturing activity are the people who are called as direct labor for the purpose of calculation under costing. Okay. Now, for example, labor engaged on actual production of goods, okay, in carrying out the necessary operations for converting raw material to finished goods. Now, next we have direct expenses. Now, it includes all the expenses other than the direct material or direct labor. So, it includes those expenses which are actually related to the production of that particular product, but these are those expenses which are not the direct material expenses on direct material or direct labor. So these are specifically incurred for a particular cost object, and it can be identified in an economically feasible way. For example, if we have some machinery that is helping us in doing the manufacturing thing, so the hiring charge or the rent that you are paying for that machinery is basically the direct expenses, or any repair work which is done for that particular for running of that machinery, or any wear and tear for that machinery will be considered as direct expenses. Now, what do you mean by indirect material? So those material who are not basically form a part of the finished product. These are other than basically suppose the oil to run that particular machine. That is not the material which is required for manufacturing that product, but it will be helping the plant or the producer to manufacture that particular finished good. So that is helping indirectly, not directly. So it will be considered as indirect material. For example, oil, grease, nuts, stationery. Okay. So suppose if someone is working in an education industry, so the books or books may be considered as the direct material, but the pen used for teaching or the light used for teaching will be considered as indirect material. Okay. Now next is indirect labor. So the labor cost which cannot be directly allocated to production of a particular good. So they are not exactly involved in the manufacturing of that particular good, will be considered as indirect labor. So what it means that it cannot be allocated, but it can be apportioned to or absorbed by the cost unit or cost center is called as indirect labor. It includes foremen and supervisors. As I already told you that in the production department also, we'll be considering the direct labor as those people who are directly engaged in the manufacturing of a product. But those people who are not engaged in the manufacturing of product, like the supervisors or the managers of the floor, so these people are considered as indirect labor because they are not directly involved in the manufacturing of a particular good. But what they are doing, they are supervising the labor who is involved in the manufacturing of the good. So they will be considered as indirect labor. Now next we have the indirect expenses. Indirect expenses which are other than direct expenses are called as indirect expenses. So they cannot be directly, means these expenses cannot be directly allocated to the cost centers or basically to the cost of that particular product. And these may include the factory rent and rates, okay, the insurance of the plant and machinery, power, light, heating, repairing, telephone. So all these things will be considered as indirect expenses. Now second, we're going to start the second thing. So we have completed this chart. Okay. All these three things we have completed. Okay. Now we'll be moving towards, we have completed this. Now we'll be moving towards by variability or by behavior. So on the basis of variability, the cost is classified into three groups: fixed, variable, and semi-variable. Okay, so fixed cost is generally means the cost which is incurred one time. So suppose in my teaching job, I had purchased the camera or I had purchased the laptop. So these are the fixed expenses, irrespective of number of students I teach. These two, the cost of these two things will never going to be changed. Okay, until I have like spent 4 years, 5 years on teaching on the same product. So that will obviously by the time that will get depreciated, and then I'll be requiring to reinvest in this fixed cost. Or if I'm a manufacturer of a particular thing, of the pen that we have already started example of that. So if I'm a manufacturer for that particular pen. So I had taken the factory or purchased it, suppose. So the cost of that factory is a fixed cost that will not going to change. Or if I purchase some machinery, from that machinery I can produce a lakhs of pens. So that will not going to change irrespective of the output. Okay. And the variable thing is basically the amount of material that I am requiring, the labor I required, okay, some expenses that I need to do. So that will entirely depend on the output that I have. Okay. And the semi-variable thing is that will be changing with some, suppose with not with 1 or 2 increase in output, 1 or 2 unit of increase in output, but it will be changing if like 10,000 units of output got increased or decreased. So that is semi-variable, okay, that can be changed with the change in output. Okay, so let's discuss the theory of this. It says fixed cost, these are those costs which are incurred for a period and which within certain output and turnover limits tend to be unaffected by fluctuations in the level of activity. So it says the cost this is incurred for a period and up to a particular turnover or limit, the price or the cost of this fixed asset or this fixed cost will not going to be changed till you achieve a level of activity. Suppose you have purchased a machinery and the production capacity of that machinery is 10,000 units per day. So if I need to produce a 15,000 unit per day, then I might require to purchase another machinery. So till the time I reach to that particular production capacity, this fixed cost of mine will not going to be changed. Okay. As we have already discussed, it will not increase or decrease with the change in output. Okay. And the change beyond the relevant range, they will change beyond the relevant range. Such cost behavior pattern is described as a step fixed cost. So that we had the example of the machinery that I had given. So the changing that kind of cost will generally be called as step fixed cost. So that is that particular cost will remain same up to a particular level of output, and when you go beyond that level of output, your fixed cost will then get changed. Okay. Next is the variable cost. So this varies with the volume of activity. So the more you basically produce, the more is the output, the more will be the variable cost. The lesser will be the output, the lesser will be the variable cost. So any increase in the activity will result to increase in the variable cost and vice versa. Next we have is semi-variable cost. So it contains both the components, fixed and variable. So these are partly affected by the change in the level of activity or change in the level of output. Now the third part that we are going to start is by functions. So by functions we have like many functions, that is basically we have production cost, we have administrative cost, selling cost, distribution cost, conversion cost, research and development cost, pre-production cost, and many costs. So we are going to discuss each of them one by one. Okay. Let's begin with production cost. Now production cost means the cost of producing a particular product. So what is the production cost of basically producing a pen? So cost of producing one pen, that is the production cost. So the cost of set of operation commencing with supply of material, labor, and services, and end with primary packing of the product. So what this include? Direct material, direct labor, direct expenses plus production overheads. Direct material, direct labor, direct expenses, overheads. Production overheads. So all these will be equals to the production cost. Okay. Next, administration cost. Now, the cost of planning, organizing, controlling, and general management expenses of organization. So these are not directly related to basically production, selling, and distribution. So it's like office expenses, audit and legal expenses, the director remuneration. So the work that we all do, the CAC, SCM, we people do, the work we all people do basically is the administration work. It is not the manufacturing work. It is not the production work. It is not the selling work. It is just an administration work. So all the expenses with respect to these activities will be considered as administration cost. With respect to general management of organization, with planning organization, hiring people, okay, giving the payroll, the expenses that is occurred for payroll outsourcing or for like any outsourcing given to the CA firm for accounting related activities or for compliance of laws. So all these works are the administrative work. So the cost incurred for these work will be called as administration cost. Next is selling cost. Now we have some marketing team, selling and distribution department. So the distribution work, the selling work, the marketing work. So all these work will become under the selling work. So the cost incurred for all these activities will be considered as selling cost. So the cost of creating the demand, okay, and securing the sales order is called as marketing cost, which includes the cost of advertisement, salesman remuneration, showroom expenses, okay. Next we have is distribution cost. Now the cost of basically distributing our product from manufacturing unit, supplying it from manufacturing unit to the retailer shops or to the customers, okay. So the delivery vans we have, the trucks we have, the expenses with respect to carriage outwards, okay. So all these expenses are distribution expenses. So these are called as distribution cost. That is cost of making the product available to reach the customer's destination and getting back any return empty packages or any defective packages. So all these things are basically called as distribution cost. If I talk about Amazon, so the delivery charges that you pay is basically the distribution cost, okay. Or if I'm a manufacturer of the pen, so the distribution cost, what will be my distribution cost is to making this pen available to different stationery shops or the shops, the stationery shops which are located near school, colleges. So where I can sell my pen more and more manner, okay. So that the more and more customer will be able to access my pen, okay. Next is conversion cost. That is sum of direct expense, direct wages, overhead cost of converting raw material to finished goods. So basically those expenses which are incurred to convert raw material to finished goods will be called as conversion cost. Next is research and development cost. Now the cost of researching, suppose to find out the new product or basically if I'm a mobile manufacturer, so to find out basically the new features that is to be add on with the innovations that has been coming in the market, with the improved technologies, with the new technologies which is coming in the market, or with the help of launching of new apps that is being launched in the market. So to acquire that input or to incorporate in the particular mobile phone. So basically to do the research work for these things, that what is new and what is got obsolete. So to know all these things, basically the cost is incurred. So this cost is called as research and development cost. Or if I talk about the manufacturing of the medicines, so they have a separate department for research and development to know the new medicines that can be invented, and what is the side effect of existing medicine, how can we improve the existing version of medicine. So all these things will be done with the research and development department. So the cost that is incurred on these departments is called as research and development cost. The cost of researching for new products or new application of material or improved method. Now cost of the process, which begins with implementation of the decision to produce a new or improved product and commence with formal production of that product. So if they like basically doing the research by taking a decision that we need to improve our existing product or launch a new product, and this research will come to an end with producing that particular product or by improving the existing product. Okay. Next is pre-production cost. Pre-production cost is basically cost that which is incurred before doing the actual production of that particular product. So it basically any cost incurred for sample production. So if like sometimes the manufacturing unit produce as a trial production, a batch is produced as a trial production, and it is being offered to the customer for free of cost just as a sample usage to get their feedback. So basically the cost incurred on such a kind of activity will be called as pre-production cost. So these costs are incurred when a new factory is in the process of establishment or a new project is undertaken, and these costs are normally treated as deferred revenue expenditure except the portion which can be capitalized, okay, and it charged to the cost of future production. So whenever future production cost is being ascertained, in that this particular cost is also being added. Now in the next lecture we're going to discuss the type that is on the basis of controllability. So till now we have completed by the nature of classification by elements, by functions, and by behavior. In next lecture we're going to see these three parts, and we're going to try to complete this chapter in next lecture or after that, soon after that. Okay, so please revise this lecture till here before moving towards next lecture. Thank you.